following is a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about them Cowboys?
Yeah, go Cowboys!
This is Mick Shots, streaming live on DallasCowboys.com and the official Dallas Cowboys app. Now, here are Bill Jones, Everson Walls, and Mickey Spagnola.
And just like any good team, whenever it comes down to playoff time, you have to be willing to roll with the punches. You got to be able to call to the bench, call to the bullpen, and come in hot. And that is exactly what Mick Shots is doing today. I am not Bill Jones sitting in for the legend himself. I'm Kyle Yeomans. Glad to be alongside Everson Walls. We've got Mickey Spagnola on the phone. If you're watching us live, you won't see Mickey, but we guarantee Mickey is here and he is present as we bring you a Tuesday edition of Mick Shots. How's everybody doing? Everson, you doing all right?
Man, I'm doing just fine, Kyle. I got to say, you built yourself up pretty well there. You kind of raised the bar.
Oh, well,
Let's
thank you.
See how well you do.
We'll see how I can fit in.
There
of course, I'm across DallasCowboys.com, but glad to make my Mick Shots appearance. You're wearing your victory white as the Cowboys are having their white out for this
day
weekend.
Outside too. It went well with the weather.
Oh, good, good, absolutely. Mickey, how you doing? Can you hear us all right?
I've got you loud and clear and ready to go.
Now, you've had an interesting day so far getting set for this show. We were just talking about it a little bit off the air, but your journey to be on Mick Shots today was not your favorite thing, right?
Yeah, it probably started at around 11:15 and ended at about 1 o'clock. Trying to figure out why the video from the app we use to get video on the show from afar wasn't working. And we moved all the way to broken up video, which was better than the color bars that we were dealing with, but didn't quite get there. So, yeah, no one gets to see my beautiful face today.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. That's a loss for everybody involved. They at least get to hear
Would you say
which
that?
Great.
I mean, can we honestly say that? To a loss, we miss you, but to say a loss, that's different.
That's a little bit too far,
Yeah,
maybe.
it's a little
But
too far.
Chris Beam in the back, he was trying to get it all set up, and I walked in. And he goes, "Look at Mickey," and he just pointed up to the screen, and it just looks like a bunch of colors put together. It actually looked like a painting, and Chris came up with a phenomenal name.
No.
Oh, am I not going to?
No,
say
we
it?
got to see it first.
Oh, we got to see
we
it
got to
first.
see it first.
You know what it looked like? It looked like that commercial when the lady's face broke up.
I got
and
it,
I'm
right
not
here.
a bad aunt. You know?
Is that an AT&T commercial? I think.
All right, here
It's
we
like-
go. Here we go. I got
Let's
it
hope
right
it was
here.
AT&T, right?
I hope so. Okay,
you
yeah,
see
there it
that,
is
guys?
on Everson's camera
See
here.
that, guys? What do we call that now, Kyle? You can go
That
ahead
is
and
the
reveal.
Micasso.
Micasso.
That is the Micasso.
Yeah, that's what happens when you have a crappy Droid phone as opposed to the beautiful iPhone that we're dealing with right here.
Oh,
This
man.
is what
You
Droid
get
gets
paid
you.
for that commercial?
I know.
Hey, I tell you what, I'd rather get paid by one that works. Okay, I'd rather get paid by one that works. Thank you, sir, very much. Thank you, Chris, for that. This is hilarious.
You better check the sponsor list for the Cowboys before you start throwing that.
Yeah,
stuff
that's
out.
true. That's true. We need to. We got to be careful
Sorry.
about it. That's
Sorry.
okay. I think you're
Sorry.
fine. But the Micasso is what we were greeted with today. But Mickey, anything stand out to you? Jerry Jones was on the Fan earlier today, kind of talking about going into this wild card matchup. It's the Cowboys and the San Francisco 49ers, a classic matchup that I know you guys talked about at depth yesterday. But anything stick out to you in what Jerry said, Mick?
Well, he said, I thought he started off basically pointing out that, he appreciated what happened, what the Cowboys did. Like the game on Saturday night had nothing to do with what Philadelphia did or didn't. It had everything to do, he said, about us, how we executed, how our offensive line played, how different individuals executed, the defense performing, and it was just about us. And he appreciated how that turned out. And then, obviously, moving on to San Francisco, and I think one of the questions was, would you have preferred to play somebody else? and he said, hey, these are the playoffs. Everything's razor thin out there. So you got to go play. You ain't going to worry about who you're playing. You got to go play. And he's exactly right. There's no cream puffs out there. They didn't give the Cowboys the opportunity to play Houston. So just get ready, buckle down, and see what your best can do against their best.
Hey, Kyle's over here laughing at your Humphrey Bogart era of language here. Cream puffs.
Cream puffs. Yeah, I can see the headlines now. Mickey Spagnola says the Houston Texans are a cream puff.
Well, you know what? They got one coming because a couple of years ago when they were in the playoffs and the Cowboys weren't, on their website they posted a picture of an empty AT&T Stadium.
Wow, that's some shade. That is some shade. I said,
you know what? If you're in the playoffs every year, then go at it, right? But let's not get in one time and then start throwing stuff around.
That's what you got to do, though. You got to establish your dominance every time you can, and I guess that was the one time that the Texans were able to do that. I don't know why this turned into bashing the Texans in the opening.
We're gonna get away from that because I want to get on how the Cowboys are in unison in regards to their message. Mm-hmm. Sometimes Jerry can go off Spags a little bit to where, hey, Jerry, maybe you shouldn't have said that, bulletin board material, or even sometimes it's just a little bit over the top. But right now, what he said, I think, is very accurate because the Cowboys got, and I don't want to call this just a good practice because, like you said, there are no cream puffs, Spags. But you did have a team that just had no idea what was going on, and they were totally outmatched. Now, as you look at some of the games that have gone on this entire year, you cannot predict anything. Mm-hmm. I'm not taking any team or win for granted. So when it's all said and done, I got the Jets. They came out and they beat a couple of good teams. I don't feel like going over all the upsets that happened throughout this entire season. I mean, unpredictable, dumbfounded upsets, such as Cowboys, Denver. We always remember those. But then you had Tampa lose to the Saints twice. You have some things that went on that lets you know you can't take any win for granted. And the way we played the other day, that's how we should have played. That's how we should have beat them. So I don't look at this as anything as a lateral move. I looked at it as an improvement that we needed to make because offensively we haven't been consistent. We still haven't shown to be consistent. But I'd rather go out the way we did in that game than looking at how we went out against the game before that.
Yeah, and that's a great point because Mickey very easily could have turned into the Cowboys matching the Eagles' energy of saying, you know what, you're not playing Jalen Hurts, you're not playing all these starters that were on the COVID list. They're taking a week off. Nick Sirianni even said it. They have earned a chance to take the week off.
True.
And that's not the way the Cowboys looked at it. The Cowboys looked at it as an opportunity to gather their momentum, to kind of get their feet underneath them after a loss against Arizona. And Mickey, they went out and executed, checking the boxes of health and execution along the way to improving their seeding.
They broke a few records, set a couple of personal records. I mean, come on, you can't beat that. I mean, that was the game to do it. We beat them the way they should have been beaten, and to me, you can't be down on that. And let me go further. I saw Church coming in here, Spags, and we were talking about how everyone is doubting the Cowboys, and I look at it like this. You've got a lot of former players that are pundits now. Mm-hmm. And those former players, for some reason, all of them think we should have drafted them, Spags. All of them say, I should have played for the Cowboys. Oh, I didn't get drafted by the Cowboys, so I'm going to go. So they take that energy as players onto the booth, right? So now all you get is, the Cowboys this, Cowboys better look out. Nobody says Tampa better look out.
Yeah.
They played like crap many times this year. Nobody said, hey, Green Bay maybe should look out. Nobody talks about the Rams need to look out. Mm-hmm. Come on, the way Matthew Stafford has been so inconsistent, everyone's getting the benefit of the doubt but the Cowboys, and I think they always look forward to the moment when we crap the bed.
Well, and here's the other thing, and I was talking with the guys during my segment on the Fan this morning, and we were talking about their physical defensive front. Talked a lot about Deebo Samuel and what he brings to the table, and I said, yeah. And guess what San Francisco's talking about? They're talking about, can we block Randy Gregory and DeMarcus Lawrence, and what do we do with Micah Parsons?
And where is he going to be every down?
Yeah, so they got things to worry about too. I understand how it works because we see other teams and it's like, okay, there's their strong points. Well, they see the Cowboys' strong points too, and the fact that I bet they're not just dismissing, oh, it was Washington, oh, it was Philadelphia, they put 50 points on them. No, they're looking at, in 2 of the last 3 games, this team scored 50 points, and that's what they're worried about, along with the other things that this team can do, like the Cowboys' 3 receivers. You know, I understand that how good their defensive front is, and that makes up for maybe what they have in the secondary, but Cooper Kupp was running through them left and right.
Yep.
Right? So now, are they sitting there going, oh, are we worried about those 3 receivers the Cowboys have and that tight end who nearly, and I didn't double-check this, what Schultz's final numbers were. I've got them right here. He ended up the second leading receiver, 78 catches for 808 yards and 8 touchdowns. Well, we worry about Kittle, right?
Yeah.
Well, he's got 71 catches for 910 yards and 6 touchdowns. So are they sitting there worried about Dalton Schultz?
I think they should be, right?
And so it works both ways. And I know this always happens in the playoffs, you know, and a lot of times everybody looks at the other team and it's almost like they romanticize about those players, and they don't realize on the other side they're thinking about what the Cowboys have and how do we stop them.
When you're talking about Schultz, I mean, you're not talking about a necessarily dynamic type of player, but the consistency that he's possessed, as well as his ability to get Dak out of trouble. Because when you're playing against that 2-man, which is they're going to start off on us with a 2-man or some type of man-to-man, then it's always the tight end that has the best chances to get open down the middle. That's why tight ends were created, because wide receivers can't get open. And whenever that happens, that's what Schultz does. He is tried and true with that, and he has come through for us in moving the chains as well as working well in the red zone. So, yeah, when he's on and when Dak is on with him, when they're connecting, I think they're a heck of a duo to deal with.
And just based off of the numbers that Mickey just gave, comparing him to George Kittle, who is widely renowned as one of the top tight ends in all of football, you can see that Schultz has more receptions but less yardage because he's not that big play threat.
And he's not going to have the yak.
That's that's not his game. But
and that's okay, right?
You talk about the number of receptions he has, the amount of targets he has in the red zone, 8 touchdowns to go along with what he's done this year, because not only is he getting open inside 10 yards toward the first down marker as a safety blanket to Dak Prescott, he's finding himself open in the red zone, and he's only the second tight end in Cowboys history, along with Jason Witten, to hit that 800-yard mark.
Wow.
So, Mickey, I think you're bringing up a fantastic point of now it's a pick your poison sort of mentality for San Francisco, where the Cowboys, of course, have that same mindset looking at their opponents. But if you're San Francisco, who do you look at first and say that's going to be our biggest challenge?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I'm going to just say this off the top of my head. I hadn't done the research, but I'm guessing the Cowboys haven't had many, if any, tight ends not named Witten end up with 78 catches in a season.
I think it's only him and Schultz, I believe. I think it's Witten and Schultz, yeah.
So, yeah. So
and the Cowboys have been blessed with amazing tight ends since the inception of the Dallas Cowboys. That's saying a lot. That's tall. What my dad used to say, that's tall cotton right there, boy.
That's a good one. I like that.
What were you saying there, Mick?
You know what? The other thing I just noticed, and I haven't looked up their record calling, but the referee crews for this game have been named.
Good point,
and it looks like Cowboys have Alex Kemp's crew in this game.
I'm glad we're delving into this, especially after last couple of weeks, Spaz. Go ahead.
Yeah, and actually Jerry brought it up. He didn't know the crew, but he thought the guys that did the game last week did a really good job because they let them play.
Yeah, because we didn't have any They were ready to go home, Spags.
Right? They didn't want to call anything, right? It's like, okay, this game's over with. But I just noticed Alex Kemp, he's 8 years in the league, and I think he's four-time head referee. Mm-hmm. So he's got the Cowboys game. They've got it's a somewhat young crew. There's only one guy other than Kemp. So Kemp's the 8-year veteran. One guy, Wolstead. Jim Mello. He's the DG. What does DG stand for?
Down judge.
Yeah, down judge.
Down judge. Okay, thank you.
Wait, you mean DJ?
Right?
Yeah, I was like DG.
He's been in the league 18
grass
years. Nobody else has been in more than 6 other than the head referee. So it's a relatively young crew right now.
I could care less about how young they are. I want to know what their propensity is, Spags.
Okay, I got you. How about this? They've had
I was going to call it up, and Kyle beat me to the punch.
I got you. Yeah, so they've had one game with the Dallas Cowboys this year. It was the first Washington football team game where they were in Washington, and it was the 27-20.
Go ahead. Go,
27-20 game, and there was only 7 penalties for 65 yards in that game against the Cowboys, 7 for 60 for Washington.
In Maryland.
Yes, at FedEx Field, so it's about as even as you could potentially get. It's not one of these big games like the Raiders or the Chiefs or the game against the Cardinals where the Cowboys had their reserves about their referees. So right now you feel pretty good about the way that this officiating crew is holding things up. Right?
I just don't like when officials become the conversation.
Part of the game.
They just shouldn't be part of the conversation. And anytime you do that as a group, that lead referee or whatever you call him, Spags, he needs to tone that down before it gets out of hand. Especially when you look at what it might be looking like at halftime. What are we doing? Are we throwing too many? Let's take a look at and review, guys, because you could see some of these things happening and you couldn't stop them. To me, as a referee, you a head referee, then you need to handle that and make us look, guys. We are becoming part of the script, and that's not fair to the fans or the players.
Oh, I noticed also on the crew, and I'm surprised this happened. Former Cowboy defensive back Nate Jones is the field judge.
Wow! I didn't know that.
How many former players are referees, Spags?
That's a good question.
I never thought about that.
When he did it, I remember doing a story on him, and he was like one of maybe 2 that were in the league that had been former players. They've listed him, and this is what he had been doing before he kind of got into the officiating thing. He's a firefighter, EMT, and he was doing that locally here.
Okay, so he's from Dallas.
Yeah,
he lives there. He went to Rutgers.
Did he? And he played for the Cowboys. He played for the
Cowboys. And
did we treat him well?
Yeah, right. Hopefully,
did we end on good terms?
Right. Hopefully, they paid him well.
Is it a good relationship? Because that's a big question here.
Who quit who?
I know Nate, and he's a really good dude.
Oh, that's
excellent,
good.
Super good dude.
Great to hear.
Thanks,
really
good.
nice
As a matter of fact,
he went to New England.
He's the one that knocked Brett Favre out of that game that year.
Wow.
And Aaron Rodgers started his career that second year.
Whoa. Well, I guess thanks for that. I don't know.
All right. One other thing on the referee crew before we take our first break. Home win percentage. That's something that you were curious about with this crew this season. 31% of the time the home team has won, which is like 20 points below the season average.
Oh, interesting.
The season average is 51.
Should be.
This is 31.
But this is hard because this is an all-star crew, by the way.
It's true. It's different completely.
There's only 2 guys that are on Kemp's crew.
That were on it all year,
group,
right?
And it's the replay official, and I don't know what the RA is. Replay assistant, I guess?
Yeah, I think it's probably replay assistant.
So those are the only 2 guys that were on his crew. The rest are from basically all other crews.
Well, Chris, that means that the bums that were throwing flags on us, they didn't make the team.
Oh no, yeah, no. You get rated. There's a 1 rating, 2 rating, and a 3 rating, and they grade you. So
I don't want to see the guys from the Raiders game and those other games.
Yeah,
you're talking
the
about,
Cardinals game.
Yeah, we don't want to see those.
They've thrown, or at least his crew has thrown 25 more flags on home teams than road teams over the course of the season.
Overcompensating much.
Yeah, maybe
right?
so. But like Chris said, we can kind of throw a little bit of that out the window. It's just the head official that all these stats are on. So great point from Chris Beam.
Yes,
all right,
sir.
When we come back, let's talk about what challenges do the San Francisco 49ers present and how are the Cowboys looking at things. We'll also talk about some of the offensive and defensive coordinator news surrounding Dan Quinn and Kellen Moore when we return with more Mick Shots.
Hey, Cowboys fans, ready to spice up your next watch party? Bring Yo Quiero guacamole and be the game day hero. Yo Quiero means I want, and we know you want great, fresh-tasting, ready-to-serve guacamole for your home gating and tailgating events. Made with real avocados and the perfect blend of spices, it will be the star of any party. You can find us at your local Albertsons or Tom Thumb in the deli section. If you can't find it, talk to your store manager and tell them, Yo Quiero guacamole.
Brace yourself for an existential question. Has your butt been having enough fun lately? Have you been treating it well? Has it been going places? If not, then it's about time you start using SeatGeek. SeatGeek is the best way to get your butt tickets to live events. Just ask the thousands of other butts who have rated it the #1 ticketing app. So what are you waiting for? Download the app now or visit SeatGeek.com to get tickets to sports, concerts, and live events and make your butt happy. SeatGeek. Get your seat in a seat.
How great would it be to travel to watch the Cowboys win on another team's turf? Pretty great. But honestly, just watching the game from anywhere but your house would be fun. Even a hotel bar with some guy named Phil from St. Louis who thinks Oakland still has a team. So whether you're traveling to the game or watching from your favorite vacation spot, book a place to stay on Hotels.com, proud partner of the Dallas Cowboys.
At AT&T, everyone, new and existing customers, get our best deals on every smartphone. Why? Because you deserve it. For turning your living room into your office and your gym. For teaching Grandma how to video call and teaching her again.
It's the button on your left, Nana. Okay, your other left.
It's not complicated. Everyone deserves something new. So AT&T is giving everyone, new and existing customers, our best deals with every unlimited plan on every smartphone, even the latest ones.
AT&T may temporarily slow data speeds if the network is busy. Restrictions and exceptions may apply.
Back to Mick Shots.
Cowboys Nation, it's playoff time. Get ready to white out AT&T Stadium and cheer on the Cowboys to victory this Sunday, January 16th, when they take on the San Francisco 49ers at 3:30 Central Time. For playoff updates, visit DallasCowboys.com/2021 playoffs. Welcome back to Mick Shots, everybody. Second segment here from the SWBC studios. Everson Walls, Mickey Spagnola. I'm Kyle Yeomans. Mickey, I'm wearing my white T-shirt. It's underneath my navy jacket. I got to take my jacket off. Everson's wearing his white. You're on the phone, so you can lie to me if you want to. But are you wearing your white out today?
I am not wearing a white out. I've got kind of a grayish white tint with a Cowboy star on it, and it's a quarter.
That sounds half committed. That sounds like you're half committed there.
You know, I do respect the fact that he didn't lie there because he could have. Nobody sees him right now.
Well, it's his show, so he doesn't have to.
That's true. Yeah. But he was an honest man about it. So
I was dressed for success until we couldn't get the video to work.
I'm sure you look phenomenal, Mick, as always. All right, Mickey, you mentioned it the other way around, how teams are looking at the Cowboys and they're saying, oh my gosh, there's Micah Parsons, there's DeMarcus Lawrence, there's Randy Gregory, and then there's this offense that's put up 50 points in 2 of the last 3 games. What are the Cowboys looking at with San Francisco on the other side of the line of scrimmage when they are game planning how to slow down this 49ers squad?
Well, they're looking at Deebo Samuel to start with, right?
Yes, sir.
I think it starts there. It's probably the second next guy and maybe the third next guy. He was phenomenal coming out of South Carolina, right?
Mm-hmm.
I saw enough of him beating up on Missouri for 3 years or however many years he was there. They just couldn't stop him, and I wanted the Cowboys to be able to get him. So this was before they got CeeDee Lamb,
Mm-hmm.
and I think he went the second round maybe that year, and it was like, he's gone. But check this out. So he's their second leading rusher, 59 carries for 365 yards and 8 touchdowns. And as a receiver, he leads with 77 catches, 1,405 yards, and 6 more touchdowns. So if you add that together, his yardage from the line of scrimmage, 1,770 yards and 14 touchdowns.
Goodness
They better
gracious.
know where he is every time they line up defensively, because if you go back and watch the Rams game, he lines up wide at wide receiver. He lines up in the slot. He lines up at running back, and they will hand him the ball. They try to do everything they can to get the ball in his hands, and once he gets it, he is a load. He's a little bit thicker, maybe stronger, CeeDee Lamb, but the same type of player.
He is way thicker and stronger than CeeDee Lamb. Yes, go ahead.
But it's the same type of guy. Makes great catches, and once he gets in the open field, you're in trouble because he's going to break your ankle.
And he's a strong runner. You could tell he's got some running back in his background, Spags. But also, I think I heard this morning, he's only second behind Chase, if I'm not mistaken, with the Bengals in yards per catch. I think he's up in the 17-point-something yard average. And so he's going to beat you short, and he's going to have the yak, and he can go deep on you as well. So, yeah, he's somebody that if you can just eliminate him, then you're going to improve your chances of winning the game exponentially.
He's not only their most dangerous threat at wide receiver, he's not only now their most dangerous threat at running back, but he also threw a touchdown pass in the final game of the regular season against the Los Angeles Rams. So he can do a little bit of everything. So, Mick, when you're talking about this guy, you have to know where he is at all times. San Francisco, Kyle Shanahan, they're going to run all this motion. They're going to run all this eyewash up in front to try and confuse the defense. And Deebo Samuel, for the most part, him and Brandon Ayuk, another very shifty, speedy wide receiver on the outside.
Had a ball game last week.
He's a baller.
Yes.
Both of those guys are going to be tough matchups just based off of the speed that they have. And a lot of times they're already running. They already have that momentum because of the motion and what they're able to do prior to the snap.
Good point.
And then not only that, but they want to run the football, right? They look at it that we are going to run right at you, and they do it with a lot of 2 tight ends. But you know the other thing they use? How about this? They use a fullback. Right?
Wow.
Is that how you say
inventive.
It?
Yes, it is, Mick. You had it.
And they will line him up in a true fullback. They'll line him up off the line of scrimmage to either the left or the right behind the kind of offset from the offensive tackle. And he's a load. And they use him. He's caught 30 passes. You know what he reminds me of? Everson, you remember Rathman, the fullback, the Niners?
Yes, I do. I had to play against that guy.
Type of guy, right? He will go through a brick wall for you.
That's when fullbacks were the norm in an offense.
Right?
Yes, he was just another fullback out there who was hard-headed and very determined.
Maybe I should have said Daryl Johnston too.
Yeah, I guess you could have. That's very true.
But when they run the ball, and he's a load going into the middle. And by the way, I don't know.
As I think about it, Daryl Johnson, I don't think he had 10 catches his entire career.
Oh, no, I bet he did.
Oh, he may have had 15. Okay, I'm sorry. Now you got Kyle looking this up now. You go ahead, Spaz.
I got my trusty little book right here. In 1994, Daryl Johnson had 44 catches.
Wow. Boy, Troy must have been under a lot of pressure that year.
He had 50 in 93.
1993.
That's when he missed all his blocks, and then Detroit had no choice but to throw it to him.
50 catches in 93.
You want to know what's funny about that, though, Mickey, is the 50 catches. Out of those 50 catches, there wasn't a single catch for a first down. They were all under 10 yards.
I told you he blew his blocking assignment, and Troy's like, hey, your man is hanging off of me. Take this thing.
He averaged 7.4 yards a catch. Come on.
Yeah. That's about it.
That's funny. Whatever happened to the fullback, man? I mean, bringing back. There's probably two or three
Cliff
teams out of 32.
Cliff Kingsbury.
Yeah, it's that college offense, that spread.
Well, yeah, college happened to the fullback, and they got rid of them.
That's true.
And they basically got rid of the tight end. And all of a sudden, it's 4 and 5 wide receivers out there.
Yeah, you can't get rid of that tight end, though. That tight end is a stubborn creature, and I'm glad of that because right now, the tight ends to me are the most impressive players on most professional football teams. I mean, they are the studs of the squad. You look at Andrews from the Ravens. Mm-hmm. I mean, that guy right there. You look at the guy from the Pittsburgh Steelers. And not only do you have one, you've always got a backup that looks just like him. So, that's I love it. They've got big studs at tight end, and I hope they never go away.
Well, you know what? And I don't mean to swerve off to the side of the road, but the tight ends last night in that national championship game, they had a big hand in what went on.
Yeah.
And when I was watching that, I was going to ask Everson. It's like, so how do teams normally cover the tight end? Because these days, those types of tight ends, they can't. The running backs can't. I mean, the linebackers can't run with them.
Well,
so
I recall the matchup that we always had with tight ends was our strong safeties. And
okay.
So now you're talking the Tom Landry defense. You're even doing it with when I went to the Giants with Belichick. No, your strong safety is going to handle that tight end. But let's just be real. We always made the tight end have to work his way off the line of scrimmage. Nowadays, they just don't do that necessarily. Yeah. I remember Dexter Klingscale, Charlie Waters. God, I remember some great strong safeties that we had. Myron Guyton, Kenneth Jackson in New York. These guys had to match up with not just tight ends. We had strong safeties then. Darren Woodson, who could match up with wide receivers and running backs as well. So I don't know what's going on with the strong safeties these days, but that's the way it was back then.
Probably no one wants to be a strong safety.
They don't want to have that type of assignment to deal with. And that's where a guy, I guess on the Cowboys side, I know we do want to talk about that national championship game last night, but on the Cowboys side, that's where having a guy like Jaron Kearse helps out because he's a bigger bodied safety who has the coverage ability, has the physicality to be able to cover guys like that.
And Watson as well. Wilson as well.
Yeah,
both of those guys very athletic, but when you talk about Jaron Kearse, very special. I don't know what Minnesota was doing when they got rid of him, but you're looking at a guy, I mean, he's one of the best hybrid players that you can kind of put your finger on right now. He's like a Tyrann Mathieu type of guy. We don't use him necessarily like they would use Matthews,
sure,
but he has that ability, and he has made an extreme impact on this team. I would imagine he's probably top 5 in tackles on this team by far.
Oh, no, he's number 1.
Wow.
Yeah. That's pretty impressive.
And by the way, since you guys brought it up, we got a kind of an injury COVID update yesterday after our show, obviously. Mm-hmm. And, it sounds like everybody was coming back off COVID by Wednesday, and I think Jaron Kearse might be the last one. I think Jerry and Mike said they are hoping to have him back by Thursday. Not only was he on COVID, but I think he had a groin or a hamstring going on.
I think it was a hamstring. Yeah.
Hamstring, yeah. And so they're hoping to have him back by Thursday. But the other COVID guys, Anthony Brown came off the COVID list. So they're hopeful that when they hit the practice field tomorrow, that they'll be nearly at full strength, with the exception of Jaron Kearse, who you guys are exactly right. And he owes Dan Quinn. Whatever he makes next year, in free agency. Dan Quinn found him a role
he gets his
that
big.
he could excel in.
Dan Quinn's working as Curse's agent. He's got a percentage of the cut coming.
He's the godfather. He's his godfather.
Somebody finally figured out how to use him, right?
Yep.
That's right.
That's exactly right. That's a good transition piece. Let's take our second break because when we come back, let's talk about Dan Quinn and some of the interview requests that have been flying his direction. Is that a big distraction to the Cowboys, or is it really not that big a deal at the moment? We'll answer that when we come back with more Mick Shots.
The Medal of Honor is our country's highest military award for valor in combat. More than 40 million individuals have served in the armed forces since the Civil War. Fewer than 4,000 have received the Medal of Honor. The National Medal of Honor Museum will be a place to preserve these legacies and inspire America. It's being built right next door to the Dallas Cowboys in Texas. Help us honor our country's greatest heroes. Learn more and get involved at mohmuseum.org.
Want to use what the pros use? How about the official men's skincare brand of the Dallas Cowboys, Jack Black? Right now you can get the Jack Black Starter, a curated collection of Cowboys locker room favorites for just $10 with free shipping. The starter includes 4 Jack Black skincare favorites plus a full-sized intense therapy lip balm. Go to getjackblack.com/Cowboys and use the code word TEAMJB. That's getjackblack.com/Cowboys. The Jack Black Starter, $10, free shipping.
The Cowboys way, where 16 Hall of Famers and 5 championships shows us what success looks like. Where turkey is always the second best part of Thanksgiving Day. Where we are all defined by one single thing, the star. Where we as fans know it's our job to keep the tradition going. Bank of America is proud to be the official bank of the Dallas Cowboys and to support the quest of living life the Cowboys way. Copyright 2020, Bank of America Corporation.
Before there was a draft, you could size up a cowboy by 3 simple factors: the crease in his hat, the bend of his brim, and his unbending attitude. A man's Stetson didn't just protect him from what life threw at him, it projected a rugged, unstoppable spirit. Stetson hats are still American-made with pride right here in Texas. They're still the unofficial crown of all self-respecting cowboys, and Stetson is proud to be on the field with America's team. Find a retailer nearest you at stetson.com/cowboys.
Back to Mick Shots.
Dak Prescott is our nominee for the Walter Payton NFL Man of the Year Award, presented by Nationwide, recognizing NFL players for outstanding community service, activities off the field, and excellence on the field. Help Dak earn $25,000 in a donation to his Faith Fight Finish Foundation by voting on Twitter. Tweet hashtag WPMOY challenge followed by Prescott through January 17th. That is WPMOY, Walter Payton, Man of the Year, challenge, followed by Prescott through January 17th. Vote Dak.
When is the announcement?
Usually that's right around Super Bowl week, isn't it, Mick, when they announce Walter Payton Man of the Year?
They do it that Saturday before the Super Bowl when they have the big show.
Oh, the big honor show. Yeah. I was at that show, but I was kind of listless. I just failed miserably in making the Hall of Fame. So me and my family went to the honors. They're telling us, "Hey, we gotta get ready. You gotta go to the honors show." I'm like, "Man, you can't order me around anymore." Yeah, we're a little pissed up here. And we went to the show, and we all our lips were hanging in our laps. We were pissed off.
Oh man. Oh man.
So that list of the running backs with tight ends.
Yeah.
Touchdowns. I'm sorry. Where was Dan Reeves?
Oh, so we were talking in the break, and we were talking about most receiving touchdowns for a running back and a fullback, for those of you listening. And we were talking about how actually Darryl Johnston and Dan Reeves had the most. Dan Reeves had 17. Darryl Johnston had 14. Who did you ask about? Did you ask about Reeves just now?
No, yeah. So I looked because I thought I remembered this after looking at his stats after he passed away last week. Mm-hmm. And in his first 3 years, he had 15 touchdown receptions until he tore up his knee.
Wow.
So that's just in 3 years.
3 years, 15.
Yeah, Tom Landry always had certain players that he wanted to be in certain positions. He would draw up plays for players. I don't know if that was an ego thing for him to where it's like, well, I'm picking you because I think only you can do this, when clearly everyone else could have done it.
Could have probably done it.
But you know, coaches have their favorites, and Tom Landry always had a certain type of player for a certain type of play in a certain situation, and that was pretty consistent throughout his entire coaching career.
You know what that sounds a lot like?
What's that?
Dan Quinn on the defensive side of things with Micah Parsons and company. I think that's a great transition because that's what Dan Quinn has done all year long, right, Mick?
Yeah, no. He has figured out roles for guys that he could fit them into what he's doing. Instead of saying, this is what I do, now let me see who can do that. No, he looked and saw what guys could do and said, okay, I'm going to do that. And that's what he did with Jaron Kearse. That's what he did with Micah Parsons. That's what he did with Leighton Vander Esch.
Yeah, and all the players that he brought over from the Falcons as well. Those are his guys.
Neil, Keanu. Succeed. Yeah, absolutely. And by the way, speaking of fullbacks, when's the last time you saw a 360-pounder line up at fullback like he did last night on the goal line?
Oh, other than Connor McGovern, I guess Connor's not even 360. There's no way he's even pushing that.
The one guy last night on Georgia, they said he lost 40 pounds.
They sure did.
He was still 360.
And he ran a 4.6, a 4.8 40 or something.
He lose 40 pounds.
I'm like, man, I told my son, this guy runs faster than I ever ran at a 4.6
and he's 360. That was unbelievable. Talking about the Georgia Bulldogs, number 95. Kind of reminds me of Laquan McGowan. You remember that name at all? Probably not. He was the Baylor tight end during like the Art Briles runs where he was 380 and he played tight end at 380. He wore number 80 and everything.
Yes, I remember him.
He had a touchdown in Cotton Bowl against Michigan State. He was huge.
Where is he now?
Oh, I don't even know. Yeah, I have no idea.
Hopefully he's okay.
He was a legend, though.
And they put two of their guys on their goal line offense, one at fullback and one at tight end. And guess where the guy ran? Right between the two.
Right in the middle of them. Yeah, that was a fun game. Georgia coming out on top.
I told you, Spag. Sorry,
you're good. We got it right, didn't we?
I did. No, I got it right. You guys were piggybacking, okay? I said it first.
Bill went with Alabama.
Yeah, at first, yes.
Exactly so. All right. Mickey, real quickly, give us an update on what you've heard around the offensive and defensive coordinators, Dan Quinn, Kellen Moore, both of which I feel like every time I open up my phone, I get a notification that a team is requesting to interview one of those two guys. What have you heard the latest?
Well, I think the latest was Denver, right?
Miami just got on the phone,
and Miami just did it, too?
Mm-hmm.
For both of them, right?
Dan Quinn for Miami is all I see.
I could see Dan Quinn a pretty good fit in Denver. I just think that, but again, so these guys want to interview him, right? But if I'm Dan Quinn and I know what I went through as a head coach, I'm going to be pretty picky on the situation I get myself into the second time.
Right.
You know, and I think Mike McCarthy probably was the same way.
Yeah.
You know, I'm going to get into a situation where there's a good general manager, the ownership is strong, and it's a good organization. I think those are the things that you don't just go to go, right? You better pick someplace where you fit in awfully well. And Kyle, I talked about this. I believe it was last week when we talked about Sean Payton when he had an interview with the Raiders. And he just didn't feel comfortable in 2005 taking that job. I think he was a little iffy on the quarterback situation. And, you know, you had to be a certain person to go in there with Al Davis.
Yeah, I was going to say, you got to talk to Al. When you talk to Al, that's a whole different feel.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly. And so
you feel like you're being threatened during the interview.
Yeah, and he turned the job down, and everybody's like, oh, you can't turn Al Davis down. You're committing, you know, professional suicide. And then the next year he took the Saints job, and the rest is history. So I think if you're, you know, especially if you're getting the second chance, you just don't take anything. I think I'd be pretty particular on where I went and who I worked with. And I would darn sure make sure that either I have a quarterback or I've got a high draft choice to get one.
Now, well, he was in a great place with Atlanta. That was an ideal situation for him. Quarterback situation. He had a defense that he could work around, just like he's doing with the Cowboys right now. Obviously, he went to the Super Bowl. We remember what happened there, but that was a great situation for him there. He's obviously very cagey about the choices that he makes, and he won't do anything foolish at all. He's too old for that, number one. It's too accomplished.
And it also...
Oh, yeah, he had a great quote yesterday about, I like what I'm doing here, and I'm trying to remember how he put it. And he goes, I'm damn sure going to do this or that. It was pretty good response to doing interviews, because he sounds like he would prefer, if he's going to do them, or if he's going to let it out that he's doing them, that he wants to do it at the end of the season, not in the middle of his playoff run.
Mm-hmm. And maybe Kellen Moore's not in that same scenario. Maybe he's not in the same position. Kellen may take these interviews.
Guy.
He already took the Jacksonville interview, and because he is the younger guy, has not been a head coach previously, he needs to look at every avenue that he could be in order to be that head coach. But how much of a distraction is, before we wrap things up, how much of a distraction could that be, Mickey, for a locker room like this? Because Dan Quinn is making a stand saying, I don't want to do this until after the playoff run is over, whereas Kellen Moore has already taken an interview and is probably thinking about a couple of these other spots as well.
Yeah, and I think as long as you're doing virtually, at some point at night, you're done working, right?
Good point.
And it's like, or, the night before a game when everything's settled, I don't think that affects these guys.
Just schedule it out. It's not a big.
Right?
Just schedule it out. Yeah.
I mean, it's talking, right? It's not like you're flying somewhere to go meet people.
Yeah.
And you also have to understand, these teams are going to interview 10 people for the job, right? They're not going to just interview one or two and then make a decision.
Sounds like what the Cowboys did with Mike McCarthy, though.
Well, no, it's like what they did when they hired Wade Phillips. They must have interviewed 10 different guys.
Yeah, there you go.
And a lot of that, what Jerry was doing, was picking other people's mind about his situation, his roster. He wanted to see what they thought of what he had and maybe where they were going, right? And remember, this was after Bill Parcells finally got him to 2 consecutive winning seasons for the first time. Well, it would have been they had winning seasons in 05, 06. They were both 9-7, right? So you would have to go back to 95, 96 for the last time they had consecutive winning seasons. Because they had a losing season in 97.
Really?
They had a winning season in 98. They were 500 in 99. And then the 3 in a row, 5-11 seasons, a winning season, a losing season, then those 2 winning seasons. So, yeah.
I think I put that stuff out of my mind, Spags.
Tried to block that one out.
Golly.
Block it away. Well, I'm glad to hear that. I'm glad to hear that you guys don't think it's that big of a deal, because a lot of Cowboys fans are a little up in arms, and I think it's because they're safeguarding what they see as a great situation with Dan Quinn as the defensive coordinator, Kellen Moore as the OC. I think at some point you got to look at it and say you're in a great spot to be in because they've been so successful, because they're so sought
after. Let them finish it out. They're going to finish it out. I think that's what the fans are worried about. They're going to finish the season.
Yeah.
They're not going to like college. They're not going to go away because we got
not going to pull a Lincoln Riley before the Alamo Bowl.
No, that's not happening. We're going to stay intact until this thing is done.
Yeah.
So that's good.
And I thought Jerry put it a good way. He said, when he goes, he said, rest assured. He goes, when you're successful, and he was talking about how the NFL is kind of built. He said, when you're successful, it works to the team that aren't successful, meaning they're going to come to the team that is successful and try to hire somebody. And he goes, and then on the other hand, when you're unsuccessful, it works at the team's advantage to be able to take advantage of the teams that are successful. And that's kind of how the schedule goes, right?
That's how it works out. Got to take advantage whenever you have that window of opportunity. But that's it for us here on Mick Shots today. Mickey, are you back tomorrow?
I may be back tomorrow, and appreciate you. Stepping in
back
and helping
tomorrow.
us out.
That's the point. Are you back tomorrow?
I don't think I'm back tomorrow. I haven't been told I'm back. I believe Bill will be here tomorrow, so that's good. But yeah, for Everson Walls, for Mickey Spagnola, for Chris Beam, I'm Kyle Yeomans filling in for Bill Jones. We'll see you tomorrow on a new edition of Mick Shots.
Go Cowboys and Kyle.
This has been a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about this, Cowboys? Yeah!